What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your retro review for, excuse me, your retro review for The Wire Season 1, Episode 9. So we are getting closer to Season 1 end. I think it's 12 episodes. So we are getting there. In this episode, we start off, we see it's this big basketball game. Again, if you grew up in the 90s in any type of inner city, this was common. You know, in New York, they got the Rucker and all that stuff. So this is normal. You have that street ball. You got these street ball tournaments. But in this case, what we have is we have Avon Barksdale, East Side going against Prop Joe West Side. Now, Prop Joe is an important character that's being introduced. We are going to see him for time, we're going to see him for a while. Like, he's a major part of the storyline as we get deeper into The Wire. And we see Avon scouting out this, semi-pro player. Like, he from Baltimore. He went to college. He went to high school at Dunbar, which is, a major high school in Baltimore. If you don't know, do your research. And he's at junior college now. And so they, so they're definitely trying to make sure that they can stack the deck and win this game. It's about bragging rights. The winner has to the loser has to throw the winner this huge party. And of course, it's the underlying theme of that whole is about control. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely bragging rights. So everybody is pulling out their big guns, Now down to the down to the boiler room. They are trying to figure out how they can, they got to figure out with the new phones that they're getting, new pay phones that they're using. So they, they have to go out and they actually start scoping out different areas that are within walking distance of the pit, but not quite, in the pit, because of course they know that's what it's about. It's about trying to figure out what pay phones they use that are not close to the pit. Anyway, that are close enough but not too close, Dee and Wallace have the conversation. Remember last episode, Poot wanted Dee to talk to Wallace, and Wallace is like, "Look, I'm just not made for this. Like, this just ain't my thing. This ain't what I want to do." He said, "You still bothered by, that stick boy getting it?" He was like, "Listen," he said, "that is part of the game. You don't want to remember the fact that they robbed us. Like, they robbed the pack. Like, whether it was you or somebody else, he was going to get got. Like, it doesn't matter. It was going to happen." And Wallace was like, "Whatever. I just don't want to play no more." He was like, I just don't want to do it no more. Like, this just ain't my thing." And so Dee was like, "Listen, okay, like, I can't make nobody do nothing." He said, "How old are you?" He was like 16. He said, "Man, you supposed to be like a junior in high school by now." He said, "Go back to school, apply yourself. You could be at Harvard or something." And he ends up giving Wallace money, and Wallace doesn't want to take it. He said, "I told you I don't want to play no more." And he was like, "Listen, just take the damn money." Now, I don't think Dee is going to long term take care of Wallace, but in that moment, he felt like giving Wallace a little something. I was like, what's that noise? So they're definitely they're definitely patrolling the area, and so they're definitely they're following everybody, and so they following Weebay and the other dude. They're following them, and they see that they took a package out of the low riders or whatever, because they on the package, they on the re-up. And they were like, give them some wide berth. Don't roll up on them too quick. Now, while this is going on, down to the boiler room, Freeman is like, "Listen, we need to get to some good old-fashioned police work. Like, we know we got to play. We know how we got to play this. We got to do some good old-fashioned police work, and we got to follow the money." And so they start looking at LLCs and corporations and who's in charge of these LLCs and who's in charge of these corporations, what names. He said, "Look for lawyers. There are going to be a lot of lawyers let me do that. There's going to be a lot of lawyers whose names are connected to these LLCs. Look for some patterns. Look for commonality." He said, "We've got to figure out where the money's going." And he even started pulling political local election donations, because all of that has to be, if it's a legal donation, it has to be reported when you do a campaign finance report, quarterly, or whatever your state law requires. So they started pulling the money. They're pulling the money. In the meantime, they end up pulling Weebay over, and they hurt and Carver end up pulling Weebay over, and they find money. They don't find any drugs. They find the money, $22,000. So they end up taking the money but letting them go because, of course, they didn't find any drugs. He said, if y'all want the money back, y'all need to come down here and show legitimately where this money came from, and you can have your money back. So on the way down there, Herc puts it in Carver's mind basically about, you know, it's $22,000, but what if we turn in $20,000? And Carver was like, yeah. And what if they get it on the wire that they lost $22,000 and they're gonna be looking at us crazy, like, where's the rest of the money? In the meantime, down in the pit, they're giving out samples. Again, if you know anything about the drug game, that's what they do. They give out the samples when they got a new package to see if it's too much, if it's not enough, to see how, you know, if it's not enough to get people high, see what the feedback is. So the fiends know that they can get a free taste. And so that's what Bubs and his boy, they out there waiting for the free taste. Of course, when you know, white boy ends up seeing Bodie, he know Bodie is the one that beat him up, so he immediately starts to sort of retract. But Bubs ends up getting him a taste, but he ends up seeing the dude from the AA meeting he went to when he got his one-day chip. And the guy didn't pass no judgment. He didn't pass any judgment, but he was just talking to him. And he said, listen, because of course Bubs automatically assumed he was down here at Relapse. He said, no, I'm down here checking on my nephew. You know, my sister wants me to try to get him, but, you know, he ain't ready. He not at his rock bottom yet. And then he starts talking to Bubs, but in a symbolic sort of way. Like, he not coming right out saying to Bubs, I know you're not at your rock bottom yet. Yes, I think you have the desire, but you're not ready yet. And Bubs, he understood what he was saying to him. Next thing you know, we see Bubs robbing, you know, the local dope boys. You know, they hiding their drugs. So he found out where they were hiding it. They were hiding it in the spare tire. He is on the roof with some, you know, let me tell you something. Dope fiends are creative as fuck. They smart. They listen. When it's about them trying to get their drugs, they can figure it out. Okay. He is on the roof with some fishing wire and a hook. And he done reeled down the fishing wire and hooked it and was able to steal the drugs and get away. They saw him just as he was snatching the last little bit over the roof, so they caught him, but they didn't get a good enough look to see who he was. So he was able to get out of the building, but the drug boys, they found another guy that was really innocent. It wasn't, you know, obviously it wasn't the people that stole their drugs, and beat their ass. And of course that hit Bubs sideways. They get to the house, him and white boy, they getting high. Come to find out, it's a bunch of baking soda anyway. So he done robbed somebody done got their ass beat, and you still ain't getting high. And that, you see, that bothered Bubs the rest of the episode. We're gonna get to that in a minute, but that definitely bothered him. So remember last episode, Kima and Freeman were talking about who they could flip, and they looked at the pictures of the girls from the club, and it ended up being Dee's girlfriend was the one that they thought that they could probably get to the fastest. And so they actually get her to come down there. They rolled up on her, and, you know, real easily, you know, she went with them. Like, they ain't had no warrant. They ain't had to threaten her anyway. She went down to the boiler room, and they're talking, and her and Freeman have this real nice dialogue. She sees his furniture that he's making for the dollhouses, and they have a good conversation about that. They sort of build a rapport about that, or what have you. And then him and Kima sit down, and they just give it to her straight. They were like, look, you working down at the club? She said, look, I don't know about nothing going on at the club. I'm not involved in nothing. I'm not even on the pole. I make my money at the bar. I get tips, and I'm good. Like, I don't do none of that. So then they were like, well, you know, but you do know that there's some stuff going on down there. Like, you know, because I just told you. He was like, so now, even if you didn't know before, now you can't play ignorant because I just told you what's going on at that bar. And the drugs and all of that. So then they asked her, said, what about Keisha? And she was like, you know, what about Keisha? They said, you seen Keisha lately? How's she doing? And she said, I don't know, you know, I didn't talk to her. Come to find out, that dead body from the party, they rolled her up on the carpet and dumped her in the dumpster. And that is what did it for her, because she immediately remembered when she asked Dee about it, and Dee said when she was sick, I took her to the hospital. She said, he was like, that, that lying bastard, he told me that they went to the hospital. He told me they took him to the hospital. Or he told me they took, whatever. So now she's on board. She's all in. And she was like, I got to quit that club. And they were like, no. We need you to stay for a little bit longer because we need some information from you. Like, we get it, but you're working for us now. And we need you to stay just a little bit longer so you can give us the information that we need. Wallace and Hurt come back with the money, right? Now, as they're getting out of the car, the bag that they had the money in, it rips. So the bag has a hole in it. They pick it up, they keep going, they come back in and they're explaining, where they got this money from and how it came off the towers. And they start breaking down this money for Daniels. And they were saying that basically that was $22,000 that they got out of the low risers and the pit, the high risers and the pit from one morning, not the day, the morning. And they start breaking the money down and doing the math, and they realize, like, Avon is pulling in like a good meal a month, not a year, a month. And they were like, well, where's it all going? Like, he's not flashy. He don't have a whole lot of, cars and jewelry and flashy, clothes and stuff like that. Like, what is he doing with the money? I'm sorry. So, they're trying to figure out what is it he's actually doing with the money. So, they tell Daniels, they say, listen, this is it right here. Like, the money trail, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but, Freeman is letting Daniels know, like, look, I know that this doesn't make you comfortable, but understand that this money, there's a trail here, and it's going to lead us somewhere. And there's definitely a trajectory here. We've even linked it to political contributions. We've linked it to, like, there's definitely a pattern here, and you have got to get on top of it. Like, either you on board or you not, because we at a point of no return. You either got to shit or get off the pot. You know what I'm saying? Type of situation. Now, in the meantime, Omar is still up to his old tricks, honey. Omar is walking through the low rises, robbing folk. He done rolled up, and of course, it's Omar. Everybody get the running. Everybody running the house. Omar get to the stash house, and they be like, man, Omar, you better go in here. We got 10 AKAs on the other side of this door. Omar was like, yeah, I don't think so. Because if you did, you'd have shot me. So, like, please don't make me come in there. Let's make this easy on ourselves. And he even knew people's name. You know what I'm saying? He even knew that. He was like, Terrell, please don't make me have to come in there. Like, it's not going to end well for you. They end up just dropping him the whole damn bag of drugs. Like, just here, take the shit. So, and again, remember, that's Avon. So, Omar's still robbing Avon. He's still robbing, Avon Barksdale's whole situation, child. Whole situation. So, the game is here, right? Again, it's East versus West. It's East side of Baltimore versus West side of Baltimore. And the police are clueless, which I have no idea how the police had no idea that this was going on. Like, y'all don't have no informants telling y'all nothing. Because this is like the biggest event in the hood all year. Anyway, so we got Prop Joe versus Avon and his crew. Prop Joe done bought in ringers. Avon done bought in ringers. And, it is what it is. Prop Joe done bought in somebody from Italy, child. He said, but he from Baltimore and he home now. And Prop Joe got that deep Baltimore accent, child. And he actually ends up gooping Avon. He plays that old game on Avon. Man, let's up the ante. Let's up it up to 100K and blah blah blah. And of course, Avon, thinking he got the ringer from the junior college, he is here for it. He was like, okay, that's fine by me. So he ends up confirming. I'm sorry, they end up playing or whatever, and next thing Avon loses the game. Avon ends up cussing out the referee, embarrassing him in front of the whole damn hood. But that's not what's important. What's important is, y'all know up until this point, they still did not have a current picture of Avon. So as soon as they found out about the basketball game, they were like, oh, well, we need to go check up on Avon. I mean, we need to go get a look at him. So they all converge down there. Even Daniels is like, oh, well, this would be a perfect opportunity for us to figure out where he's going. Like, where does he live? With, you know, and all of that. We're going to follow him. McNulty tells McDaniels that's a dumbass move. That's stupid. Like, we need to stay here and keep doing what we're doing. We need to stay on the towers and all that good stuff. They have another one of their little, you know, breakdown blow-ups, whatever. Daniels rolls out with his little crew to go follow Avon. The good thing is they were able to put eyes on Avon. They got a good look at him. They know what he looks like now, and all of that. The bad news is they tried to follow him after the daggone basketball game, and he was smart enough. He figured out they were following him, and he lost them. And then he ended up putting himself where he was going one way down the street. Daniels was going the other way, and he hit Daniels with the... like, nah, player, you gotta come smarter if you want to come and get me. And so, of course, then Daniels had to show back up down to the boiler room looking embarrassed in front of McNulty, who was sitting there like, I could have told you you was wasting your time. He's talking about something. He's real smart. I feel like he's been showing y'all how smart he is this whole time. Like, that's not new. He's been showing y'all how smart he is. But either way, and that's when Freeman broke down the whole money thing and was explaining, you know, to Daniels. He was like, listen, this you need to make a decision about what it is you're trying to do right now. You know what I mean? On a sad note, we have confirmed that Wallace is getting high. Poot has proof. He done rolled up on Wallace, you know, buying his little drugs, honey, probably with the money D gave him, honey. So we have confirmed it. Sad to hear, sad to see, sad to confirm. Something we see, Bubs goes to see his sister. And as soon as he opens, and Bubs looks bad, y'all. I mean, he looks bad. And as soon as he opens, his sister opens up the door, she is like, no. And he said, what you mean, no? I didn't say nothing. And she said, just no. I can't do this, no. But he ends up telling her that he's ready. He's like, look, I'm ready to, you know, I'm ready to get clean, you know, and I need your help. And so, you know, she tells him no, she can't do nothing for him. But then as he's getting ready to walk off the porch, she gives him a key. And she says, that's the basement. Don't come up the steps, so I'm going to call the police on you. But you can definitely tell that they have had this dance before. This is not the first time that Bubs has probably tried to get clean and involved her. But at the end of the day, she did give him a key. And sort of, you know, we see him in the basement, you know. And, of course, that's not an easy role. Like, you can't just say, I'm going to get clean, and then you just be clean. So, anyway, we're going to see how that plays itself out. So, when Freeman is going through the money situation with Daniels, he makes mention that $22,000 came up missing from the towers. I mean, from the drop that they picked up from Bodie, Weebay. But only $16,000 made it into the report. So Daniels calls freaking Frack into the office, and he lets them know. He was like, listen, y'all got 24 hours to find the rest of that money. Or it's going to be some problems. Like, we don't play them games around here. Now, here's the thing. Herc had actually said, you know, like, let's take a little extra something. They won't know, you won't know, we won't know, it's all good. But at the end of the day, they didn't take the money. And so, of course, now they both looking at each other like, did you take the money? Did you take the money? I didn't take the money. Did you take the money? Come to find out, honey, they tore that damn car up. Come to find out, when the bag ripped, 2 stacks had rolled out and was sitting in the car, in the wheel well of the car. And Herc was like, well, we could just tell Daniels, you think you're going to believe us? And Wallace looked at him and was like, would you believe us? So, it's unfortunate, but, you know, unfortunately, when you're dealing with the money and all that good stuff, that's how it goes down sometime. And we'll see how that plays out with Freeman, I mean, with Daniels and freaking Frack with the money. Now, Omar ends up taking the stash that he stole from Avon. He ends up taking it down to Prop Joe. And of course, Prop Joe knows who Omar is, and he knows these are Avon's drugs. And he was like, so what's up? He said, what makes you think I want them? And Omar was like, man, come on. He was like, at the end of the day, it's a game. And I know that and this is the same day of the basketball game after Avon lost $100,000. Oh, let me rewind back to the recruit situation. So he got the recruit. He had to pay the recruit $10,000. Then he had to pay his coach $5,000. Then the coach ended up getting another $5,000 out of Avon for a finder's fee. So before the game even starts, Avon is $20,000 in. That don't count probably uniforms and everything else. Then he lost the game to Prop Joe, and they had upped the bet to $100,000. So Avon is 120 in the hole. Like I said, give or take another 10, 15,000. So when Omar shows up with the drugs, Prop Joe was like, so, you know, these are Avon's drugs. You done stole Avon's drugs off of him. He said, how much you want for him? And Omar was like, it's a gift. He said, all I want from you is a phone number. He said, I want a way to get in touch with Omar. And, you know, Prop was like, what make you think I know how to get in touch with him? He was like, y'all just had a whole basketball game. Somebody called somebody. Y'all had to communicate somehow to set it up. He was like, I paged him when I need him. He was like, all right, well, let me get that. So Prop Joe was like, well, let me get this straight. Avon loses $100,000 to me in the basketball game. You done stole a whole bunch of his damn drugs. And you about to try to kill him? Just ain't Avon's day, is it? But he ends up giving Omar what he wants. So Omar walks away. He got the phone number. He knows how to find him down to Orlando's. Because remember, he peeped out Orlando's last week when he got that information when he was in the office. So we got that. Now, in the meantime and in between time, what's her name? Shadina. She ends up breaking up with D. She said they done damn near moved in together, but she's packing up her stuff and she won't tell D what's going on. And he was like, listen, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you leaving? What's the problem? Like, what did I do wrong? And he was like, I didn't sleep with anybody. I didn't cheat on you. Like, what are you talking about? And she wouldn't tell him. She said, do you see me? She said, when you look at me, what do you see? He was like, a pretty girl, a beautiful girl. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, seriously. When you look at me, what do you see? Do you see me as trash? He said, no, I don't have a problem with you dancing at the club. You know I don't care about that. He was like, no. When you see me, do you see trash? Like, you could just roll me up in a carpet and throw me in a dumpster type trash. And so when she said that, he knew what it was. Now, he might not know how she knew, but he definitely knew what it was. And so of course, you know, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that too, child. So last but not least, we see Avon counting up the money. You know, he's down to the club. He with Orlando. He counting up the money. Him and Weebay sitting there. Weebay said, look, you know, Omar was like, man, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I'm hungry. You know, so Weebay said, well, let me go get you something to eat. So he's running to the carryout to go get something to eat. Omar is out front, and he peeps it. He sees that, you know, Weebay leave out. Now, I feel like he didn't wait enough time. But okay. But, like, almost as soon as Weebay left, he pages him with Weebay's code, 911. And, of course, y'all know that back in the day, that 911 code means emergency, hurry up and call me the hell back. So Avon feel like it's sort of funny. He goes out, he looks, because he figured, damn, Weebay just left. Let me go see if he's sitting out front. So he looks out. He don't see anything. He goes back in the club. So Omar pages him again, puts in Weebay's code. For those of you who don't understand how pages used to work back in the day, you youngins who don't understand how it went down. You had a pager. You would page someone and you would put your phone number in, and because, you know, there was no caller ID on a pager, people didn't always, unless you recognize the number, you didn't always know what the number was. Especially if I'm calling you from some random number because I'm out and I'm trying to get in touch with you, you will put a code behind your page. So 01 might be your mama, 05 might be your girlfriend, 07 might be your best friend, whatever. So he knew it was Weebay because Weebay put his code in, and then he put in 911. Because again, we know what 911 is. It's that emergency. Come, you know, I got an issue. Come, we got to, you know, work something out. So he pages him a second time, and Avon comes out. And this time Avon goes to call him because he's like, okay, he must really need something. He's calling him. But you can see that Avon is a little unsure. He's like, okay, I really don't know what's going on here. I feel like something don't feel right. Like that hair on the back of his head is standing up because he's like, something don't feel right. And just as Weebay is pulling up, he's like, yo, they didn't have those cheese fries. Omar starts shooting because Omar had actually started walking up. Like 2 minutes later, I don't even think, maybe 20 seconds later, Avon's dead. So they get to shooting. It's a shootout. Omar actually gets hit in the shoulder, which is really what stops it. And he ends up, getting up out of there. But because luckily Weebay pulled up, and as soon as Omar started shooting, Weebay was able to shoot back, and then he actually shot him in the shoulder, and that's what sort of got it out of there. So anyway, that's where this episode ended, honey, with Avon almost getting killed with Omar. Now at the beginning of this episode, Stringer told Omar, told Avon, just chill out. He was like, look, chill out. Tell Omar you want to call a truce. And then when you get him out, then we can get him. He said, but right now it's too hot. Y'all going back and forth. So, of course, Avon is probably thinking now, nah, ain't no truce, ain't no chilling, ain't no backing off. This is war. And, it kind of is. Like, you tried to kill a man. So, anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.